This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. A chef has spoken about how he desperately tried to save his restaurant after a fire broke out in the kitchen. The owner of Quan's Asian Takeaway in Launceston went back inside his burning business to try to turn off a gas stovetop which was feeding the flames.
Quan Quatch's hands are blackened after he made a desperate last-ditch attempt to save his business.
I looked at the fire and then I tried to save the fire. I grabbed the blanket, chuck it on, but because the fire too strong, that's why I couldn't.
Quan had gone outside to take a phone call when oil cooking on the stovetop caught alight. He tried to turn off the gas to stop the fire from spreading.
Everything, start to melt. And I just panicked.
Stunned motorists saw the unfolding emergency from Invermay Road. 16 firefighters battled the blaze. One person was treated for smoke inhalation.
On arrival, there was lots of smoke in the area and visible flames from the doorway.
The building was insured, but it's a devastating setback for the owner, who has run the takeaway shop for 12 years. He doesn't know when he can reopen, and with no other income, he has an anxious wait ahead.
I don't know what happened now. I need to open back the business sooner possible.
Firefighters say it's a reminder to never leave a hot stove unattended. Damage is estimated at around $100,000, but the owner says he's committed to rebuilding his popular business. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian charity has taken its fight against council rates all the way to the Supreme Court in what's being described as a test case. It's challenging the decision of 4 councils to impose rates on retirement villages, saying the complexes should be classified as charitable.
The heads of Southern Cross Care fronting the Supreme Court in a major challenge for the way council rates are charged. They're fighting more than $500,000 in rate charges for complexes like this one on the eastern shore of Hobart. It's described as independent living for the aged. Southern Cross Care's lawyer telling the full court of the Supreme Court it should qualify for a rates exemption because under the Local Government Act it's owned and occupied exclusively for charitable purposes. He said it is relief for the aged to provide them residences. It's human plight that evokes the sentiment that is the word charity. Southern Cross Care lost this case against Clarence, Meander Valley, Kingborough and Hobart councils, but now it's appealing the decision. A key argument in response from the council's lawyer today, it's about who is occupying the land, saying a private residence is not an exclusive charitable purpose. Councils arguing independent living units are different from not-for-profit run nursing homes or aged care facilities. Southern Cross Care's lawyers have called this a test case for Tasmania. It's estimated this rates decision could cost accommodation providers or councils $14 million over 10 years. The Local Government Association says the application of rates should be equitable.
So in terms of law and equitable treatment of rating, there is no difference between retirees living in their own home and living in an independent living unit managed by a charity.
The full court has reserved its decision for a later date. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
In Tasmania, the State Treasurer has promised to stand up for our share of the GST funding. The government is now under increased pressure to ensure any deal would not cut spending to our health and education sectors, which already rely heavily on the funding.
It funds our hospitals, our schools and our infrastructure, but changes to the carve-up of GST funding could have a significant impact on the lives of everyday Tasmanians.
We don't want any cuts to other services, clearly, and so we'll be absolutely fighting for Tasmania, looking after Tasmania's best interests as the Premier and the Treasurer and indeed all ministers always do.
Tasmania does rely on the money we receive through GST distribution for the provision of basic services like health and education. Any change to GST that sees Tasmania worse off will see our health system worse off. It will see our education system worse off.
As treasurers from across Australia meet this week, it will soon become clear just how the long-awaited changes to distribution of GST profits will impact our state. The government said it would not sign up to a dud deal. But the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, said today some states were playing politics with the issue.
We want guarantees around jobs and we want guarantees around our fair share of the GST.
If we were to lose some of our GST funding, we would have to make some cutbacks to accommodate the loss of revenue.
With the Prime Minister expected to visit Tasmania this weekend, experts say he will have a lot to answer to win back the support of voters.
First of all, he wants to put his stamp on his Prime Ministership and make sure the state is in support of him and understands that he's going to have an election soon. That's his agenda.
You'll hear from a Prime Minister who knows a lot about this state, who's passionate about this state, who delivered a good outcome when it comes to GST revenue for this state.
His colleagues remain tight-lipped about whether any extra funding is coming our way.
There'll be a lot to be said, I'm sure, but I'm not going to spoil the surprises.
Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
The state government has dismissed fears that Lake Derby in Tasmania's northeast will be mined. Last night, concerns were posted on social media to a mountain bike trail page, suggesting that the now water-filled tin mine could be reopened in the future. But that was today ruled out once and for all.
This is the lake that's caused all the controversy. A post was uploaded last night to social media saying Lake Derby was under threat from mining. The post also said Blue Derby has been working to have the land transferred into council ownership, but that was being blocked by a state government agency.
And we've applied, it's probably 12-18 months ago now since we first put the application in to have that transferred to us. Because that's where the bridge and part of the additional part of the mountain bike trails have been constructed.
Tasmanians were then asked to contact the Premier and share their frustrations. Overnight, there's been an outpouring of concern on social media that this lake behind me could be mined. The council, though, has dismissed those fears today, saying it's not a realistic possibility.
The price of tin would have to go through the roof in comparison to what it is at the moment. So, and there would be massive issues with keeping the water out of the mine, and that was the problem when they were going in the first place, keeping the water out of the mines.
The state government further cementing the point, saying the extension of the trails is supported and government agencies have been actively working with the Dorset Council to facilitate the transfer of land required to extend the trails. This embankment is the only section of the lake that isn't currently owned by the council. It's Crown land, and without it being in council ownership, a lease will need to be sought. There's also a mining lease on a section of the land which doesn't expire until 2020, which is where the council would like to build its works depot. The government says it's working to find a suitable solution. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
Today marks a potentially life-changing event for Tasmanians living with cystic fibrosis. For the first time, sufferers will have affordable access to a revolutionary medication which could add years to a patient's life expectancy.
Around 110 Tasmanians live with cystic fibrosis. Jack Dyson is one of them.
Our lungs don't function the same as a normal person would. We have a lot of build-up of mucus in our lungs. Our pancreases don't actually function, so we have to take 40 to 60 tablets a day.
Today, for the first time, the cystic fibrosis medication, or CAMBI, will be rolled out on the Pharmaceutical Benefit Scheme, dropping in price from $250,000 a year to just under $40 a month. It's a life-changing announcement.
Coming from having been told so often that your life expectancy is 37, it's obviously very hard, and to have the potential for a couple of years to be added to that is just awesome.
Around 40 Tasmanians live with the type of cystic fibrosis helped by the drug, which treats not just symptoms of the condition but the underlying causes.
It's going to mean a lot easier travel, a lot easier to live my life, a lot easier gym, it's going to make life easier.
It's been a long-fought battle to get the medication on the PBS, its addition being rejected 3 times in the past.
It is a stringent process. The good news is it's there now, and Tasmanians, like Jack, will be able to access this drug from today and hopefully will live better, healthier lives as a result.
A day of celebration for passionate advocates across Australia. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanians are ready to feel the big freeze for MND this weekend after an ice-cold warm-up at a fire station. The biggest fundraisers will be invited to slide into the pool of ice on Saturday in Launceston CBD. Among them will be 8-year-old Reese from Hadspen, who's been busy raising money for motor neuron disease.
I raised over $1,000 so far, and Neil Danaher inspired me to do it. He's never had an attitude that's put him down.
The event has raised nearly $250,000 for the cause in its first 2 years. There's a food focus for Seniors Week in Tasmania with a small taste of the event today at an official launch. It kicks off in 2 weeks with a program of almost 600 events across the state, including free activities and discounted tickets. Guides are available at post offices, Service Tasmania shops and online.
Tasmania has locked in a spot in the semi-final of the JLT One Day Cup, despite falling to Western Australia today. After posting a total of 290, the Tigers couldn't contain a masterclass from WA's Marcus Stoinis. Matthew Wade had an eye for sixes.
There's a player out there, but it's going to sail over his head, straight onto the bike track.
The first was a beauty, but the very next ball was a botch.
He does, magnificent catch.
With Wade walking back to the stands and Bo Webster going for a duck soon after, it was up to Ben McDermott to make a move.
And that is 6. Shot of the morning. Well, I'm pretty glad I moved my car this morning.
But he had the same fate as Wade, dismissed the very next ball. George Bailey also stepped up to the plate.
Oh, this time it's even better from Bailey. That'll be 6.
Top scoring on 79 before coming unstuck by his Hurricanes teammate.
Bailey throw. And that's an absolute rocket arm. Darcy Short out there.
The Tigers posted a total of 8 for 290 and the defence started well.
Bird strikes.
But Ashton Turner and Darcy Short made sure the Tigers wouldn't have an easy task, putting on an 88-run partnership before the breakthrough.
Oh, he's bowled him.
Came in 2s.
Bang, bang for the Tassie Tigers.
But the biggest bang was saved for Marcus Stoinis.
Oh, see you later. That's 50 for the big fella.
And he just kept swinging, 7 sixes all up, sailing to 93 not out and leading WA to a 5-wicket win. The good news for the Tigers, they're into the semi-final with an opponent still to be determined. Meanwhile, the Hobart Hurricanes are on their way to the United Arab Emirates to compete in the Abu Dhabi T20 tournament. The Canes will face off against 5 other T20 clubs from around the world. Stars include Johan Botha and Jerome Taylor in the team. The Hurricanes will play 2 qualifying matches against sides from Pakistan and England before the final is held on Sunday. Riders are now racing for points at the Australian Junior Motocross Championships in Penguin. More than 350 riders dished the dirt today, with 2 heats capping off the qualifying rounds. Among the local riders, Taylor Thompson qualified 3rd in the 13 to under 16 girls division, while Holly Jeeves finished in the top 5 of the Mini Lights BW. For the boys, Jay Jennings qualified 5th in the 50cc, Angus Pearce 4th in the 65cc, and Lockie Smith also made a mark in the 125cc. Racing continues tomorrow. And it seems like some local footy fans went to great lengths for a cool drink over the weekend. A group of fans was caught on camera dragging a fridge through the car park of the Ulverston IGA late on Saturday night. One fatigued fan even tried to take a ride on the rested white good. After about 100 metres, the fans went cold on the idea. The store's owner says the fridge was not in working order and destined for the tip when it was dragged from the front of the nearby Begent store. And I wonder when they were going to work that out, Jo.
Oh, well, they didn't look like they're in too good a condition, really, did they?
Evening temperatures today range from -4 at Lyowini to a high of 20 at Fingal. Hobart 19 today, Launceston 17, Burnie a top of 16 and Devonport 15 degrees. St Helens, Ouse and Campania reach 19, Smithton 18, King Island, Friendly Beaches and Grove 17, Strawn 16, Lyowini, Low Head and Flinders Island all 15. There was scattered low cloud over the southwest today with mountain wave activity evident right across that broad expanse, and the cloud band stretches from our west back to 2 over South Australia due to a low and trough to the west. Low cloud sits behind this system to the west and patchy low cloud is over the east of the country. Tomorrow the high pressure system remains over the southeast of the nation. That complex low is over the Bight as a series of surface troughs continue over the mainland. Light winds tending north-northeasterly at 10 to 20 knots in the afternoon tomorrow, swells to 3.5 metres. Forecast, a light shower late in the day for Hobart, a top of 18 degrees, 15 the top for Adventure Bay with a light shower as well, 16 the high for Tarraleah. For Launceston, partly cloudy, 19 the maximum, 17 for Devonport, maybe a light shower later, partly cloudy for Bridport, 18 degrees. For Burnie, a light shower or two, 17 the top, 19 for Strawn, Marrawar showers increasing and 16 degrees. St Helens partly cloudy and 17, partly cloudy too for Swansea on 19, Whitemark 18 degrees. Showers on Wednesday pushing across the state before easing in the afternoon and evening. Showers over the north coast contracting to the northwest during the morning on Thursday and partly cloudy on Friday with light winds right across the state. Some light cloud cover for Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy in Adelaide and Melbourne, sunny weather for Canberra and Sydney, 24 in Brisbane, fine and partly cloudy there. A little cloud over Hobart at the moment, 14 degrees, Launceston 12, and right now in Devonport it's 12 degrees. That's it for me, Joe. Back out to the dark car park, but this time next week it won't be. It'll be bathed in sunshine with daylight saving time starting.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I can't wait. Thank you very much for that, Murph. That's all from the team for now. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.